it's either you learn it or you don't know how to do it.
Exactly. You can't. Yeah. I mean, unless you match a drawing to a boat.
Yeah.
You can't recover it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the situation. So that sort of fuels my research.
Yeah, I mean.
You know, as I began to discover that reality, I just thought, oh my God, you know, this whole craft. You know, because in the West, we don't realize, as you know, Americans and Europeans, the degree to which we've recorded our culture.
Yeah.
Like you go back to Diderot.
Yeah.
And the encyclopedia.
And
I mean, step by step, how to make anchors, how to twist rope, how to everything. You know, no, we've really
there
had
literally
a fixation.
is a breakdown of everything is detailedly, you know, this thing down. I mean,
I own a 300-year-old British shipbuilding manual.
Oh wow!
It's that thick.
With the hand-drawn this thing. Wow, that must be beautiful.
It's an amazing book. But you know, a 300-year-old book that's a how-to book, how to build a warship. You know? I mean, you've got all the information right there. But in Japanese culture, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Well, is that book include the making of a cannon or something? No, just a book.
Just a book.
Just a book.
But you know, it's an amazing document, and that's a good example of.
In Bangladesh, I'm not so sure about the secrecy of it.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%. I think there must have been. The other thing is that a lot of things are not spoken about. Right, in a sense that if it is being kept a secret, and if an outsider comes and asks, "Are you keeping this as a secret?" they will say, "Oh no, it's everything's this thing." There is a sort of shyness in exposing a lot of things. But I don't know about it being secret, but it definitely it's traditionally like the same here. You know, word of mouth. It's handed down like that. So.
Yeah. So if you don't apprentice with a master, you don't get it.
You don't get it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting at the same time, the smaller boats will survive. And they will always survive because everybody's making one of those. You know, I mean, everybody who's a fisherman or who owns a boat knows how to take it apart and repair it and everything.
Wow, interesting.
So the smaller boats are similar to the one that we're making right now. These are very common, and almost everybody knows how to make them. Well, by almost, I mean the people, you know, alongside
But
the
tell
rivers,
me,
of course.
what kind of inroads are like fiberglass boats made? Like manufactured boats?
Okay, fiberglass is coming in, but it's coming in very slowly. Right now, in Bangladesh, one of the reasons is also it's a massive population.
Right.
So boats that anybody think of building commercially are usually ferry boats or launches of a certain size.
Yeah.
And the way they make it is also pretty interesting because in Chittagong, which is our main port in the south, it's you know, we have for the ship breaking, you know, the big ocean liners.
That's
ship
controversial.
breaking. So the inner plates from those boats are brought in, and they're put together to make into these launches. And there's this area in Dhaka, if you come, it's this maybe 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers row on either side of the main river that crosses through Dhaka, and it is a cacophony of metal being this thing, you know, and then welding, and it's amazing the speed in which they put these boats together.
Right.
It's a new style, but you do see a lot of that as well.
Yeah, somebody just sent me a link. Australian television did a big documentary about the ship breaking.
Okay.
They focused on child labor.
Yeah.
And I mean, can you imagine the chemicals?
Yeah, it's.
Oh my God.
The child labor
Fuels.
side on the ship breaking is not so high, but the ship breaking, the problem with it is the safety factor.
dangerous.
I mean, they're not children doing it, but even the adults. I mean, when you're exposed, and some of the ships that come in, you know, they've still got the old asbestos in it, you know, in the lining. So, and but what is funny is that you know you see these guys. It's tough to get in now because some of these documentary people had come in and they had worked without permission. And that caused a lot of problems because they also showed some of the people who had allowed them to come in to see this, they showed them in the wrong light, in a sense that they took pictures from another shipyard and then blamed this shipyard. And because it wasn't action-packed enough for them, and they made a story out of it. Although parts of what is happening is true, but they over-exaggerated it quite a bit. So everybody's a bit tentative in allowing people to come in to even see it. But surprisingly, the number of accidents that happen is, when you consider
what
these
they're
guys,
doing,
and the way they're doing it without any of the safety, it's low. I mean, that's what's shocking,
that there are more people
that
hurt.
there aren't more people hurt. But it's still, they need to up the standards of safety there.
Wow.
But like I was saying, the steel boats. I mean, that's another thing to come in, and also if you ever come down, we'll take your. It's interesting to go and watch the way it's just they've sort of taken into a new culture almost, so adapted so quickly.
I'll tell you a funny story about Japan. I've corresponded with probably Japan's most famous naval architect.
Okay.
And he was a designer for Yamaha, and they're the biggest maker of small fiberglass boats. So 40 years ago, Yamaha was trying to break into these local markets, and they were having trouble because the fishermen were all, they all were just sticking with traditional wooden boats. So this guy was in charge of going all over Japan, and they set up design workshops. They took traditional boats, molded them in fiberglass.
Okay.
And then they offered a totally traditional local boat,
but in fiberglass.
And this is the most amazing thing. There's a harbor up in Aomori in the north of Japan where there is a fiberglass boat modeled on a dugout.
No.
Yes. I've got photos of it. And when I saw that boat, I thought, if there was one fiberglass boat I could own. And the thing about it is, I mean, it's beautifully molded. It is an exact replica of a dugout.
Nice.
And the local people, it was a way to try to break into the local market. And like I said, I corresponded with this guy. He's in his 80s now. And he said, I was in charge of that whole effort. And Yamaha for about 15 years did that. And with some success or no success, they broke into the local market, and then they were able to just step back and say, okay, we're just going to make one kind of boat.
Yeah, okay.
For the whole country.
Okay.
But by then, they'd hooked enough customers.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's an isobune from Aomori. It's actually a semi-dugout.
Okay.
But it's astounding, and it's perfect. And it's fiberglass.
It's funny because we're doing something similar. Like
they did a fiberglass taraibune.
Oh yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The government built it.
What a strategy.
The taraibune is a tub.
Okay. Yeah, the circular one.
Yeah, the tub. Yeah. Okay. And the government made those. I've seen them. In fiberglass. No, for the fishermen.
For the fishermen.
Just for fishermen?
And the fishermen said they were too dangerous.
Wow.
They were too unstable, and they rejected them. But the original trial boats are still on Sado Island.
Oh, I would love to go and see.
Yeah, they use them like for fish tanks and stuff.
But it's interesting because we're doing something similar. I mean, I told you, we're three different companies which is working together.
Yeah.
The third part is the shipyard. First we have the tourism company, then we have the NGO, and then the third part is the shipyard, which Yves is taking care of, the Frenchman who came and started all of this. We're doing something. We're also working with fiberglass. It's not just about breaking into the thing, but to introduce. You see, I'll give you some of the literature on it because in the south part of the country there is a lot of sort of mafia who have a very big stronghold on the fishermen because a wooden boat is expensive. So they take a loan, and then it becomes like. It almost they're indebted to this thing.
It can never get out,
and it gets really hard to get out. Exactly. So they become almost like like the surf in the area. And so what Friendship is trying to do is that trying to sort of break the cycle, and Yves is designing these boats in fiberglass. But what he's doing is he's doing it with a double hull. With styrofoam, so that because you have a lot of storms coming in there, and the fishermen are very vulnerable to that because they go out for maybe 2 days, and by the time they get the warning to come back, it takes a while. They can't do it, and a lot of fishermen have died because of that. So he's making these boats out of fiberglass, and they're shaped, they're shaped
like the traditional boats.
But with a little bit of a difference. They put in some whale tails to balance it out better. And it's become a pretty big success right now. And the people are loving the boat, and it also helps.
And is
break
that glass
cycle.
boat cheaper than the wooden boats?
So
Economies of scale.
it's because they give. This was a project which was partially also with with one of the UN subsidiaries. I forgot which one, UNDP or something.
Yeah,
one of those.
Development program.
Yeah, one of the development programs, and
yeah.
friendship. It was friendship's concept which got taken in with
And
this.
funded, yeah.
So the basic price of the boat is more. Okay.
Yeah.
But what happens is this boat will last for about
Forever.
40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, at least without having to touch anything.
Yeah.
Whereas making a wooden boat, it's cheaper initially, but then at the same amount of time, you're costing about 5 times as much.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but what's interesting is I don't know whether you've heard of this boy or not, Conta. He's this French boy who's coming and working with Eve. They're working on a mixture with fiberglass and jute, because jute is a natural product. And he made a prototype and he sailed from Bangladesh to France by himself,
Wow.
just to show that this kind of boat will work.
Is it jute fiber instead of fiber?
No, it's fiberglass and jute.
Oh.
Bonded
Soaked in
in
epoxy?
yeah, and bonded
Wow.
together.
Wow.
So the amount of fiberglass you use and the amount of toxins that come out is a lot less with a boat like this.
Wow. Yeah.
Right, and you're using a product which is
Yeah,
basically available everywhere. You sort of
Right.
turn, right, there's a jute
yeah.
plant there.
Right, and probably once you encapsulate it in epoxy, it's
Yeah.
not going to
It's,
deteriorate.
yeah, exactly. And it
Amazing.
apparently, I mean, he sailed and now he's back in Bangladesh. He's just doing a little more of the research to see how long it'll last and everything to make sure before it's properly announced
Wow. Wow.
that this is another way of doing it.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Oh, boy.
But I mean, you should please. I mean, it would be lovely to have you guys.
know.
Have both of you down.
Oh, I know. I'd love to see it. I mean, I've seen a few photographs from boats of Pakistan,
Yeah.
boats of Bangladesh, boats of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're slightly
that
different.
whole Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
I know a Japanese researcher, who studies the boats of Madagascar.
Okay. Oh yes, you mentioned it
Yeah,
yesterday,
and
yes.
those are astounding.
Yeah.
He's got some amazing video
Oh,
of those
wow,
boats
yeah.
sailing and that whole culture of building boats, and no, that's an amazing part of the world. That's where this technology comes from.
From the Madagascar side?
Japanese boat building comes from the Indian Ocean. Edge
Yeah,
nails.
we should
In
grow
Madagascar,
a
they use
here.
edge nails. Same thing. Yeah. All right.
All right. So I'll let you guys go. But, I also wanted to just come out and let you know. Tomorrow we'll be taking some of the pins out because we just want to make sure we want to put in the new staples.
Oh.
So before we do that, I'll just run down Paul you so you can just see
I'd
them.
like to
put
see
in.
the
Right.
process.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right.
Yeah, please do
Excellent.
that. And I sent you an email
Okay,
with
I'll
a
go check
ton
it.
of attachments.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
I am
right.
excited.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Take you a while to download it.
So that's great. Okay, I'll see you in a bit.
Okay.